Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Mr. Ujang Suparman, MA PhD as the first examiner. The Honorable Mr. Mahful, MA PhD as the second examiner. The Honorable Ma'am Dr. Ari Nurweni, MA as the first advisor. And the Honorable Mr. Dr. Tuntun Sinaga M. as the second advisor. In these occasions, I would like to present about my research entitled The Effect of Modified Cell Reading Technique to Improve Students' Motivations and Reading Comprehensions. In this research, there are 5 chapters. First, introductions. Second, literature review. Third, research method. Fourth, result and discussions. And the last, conclusions and suggestions. The ability to comprehend a reading text becomes crucial in education field because it provides useful knowledge, and the students need to be trained in order to have a good reading skills. Unfortunately, the students have difficulty to comprehend a reading text and they have low motivations. Thus, the researcher proposed a technique which is cell reading technique. According to Hubbard 2012, he defined cell reading as sharing story and reading together activities. Unfortunately, according to Kalyani 2011, cell reading technique has weaknesses. If a student doesn't focus to the activity, they will not get the benefit from this activity. Thus, the researcher would like to modify this technique. The original cell reading technique focused on individual understanding. Meanwhile, modified cell reading technique were integrated with small group discussions. In original cell reading technique, the students work individually and the teacher guides the students explicitly. Also, the students are collaborated with the teacher, and here the teacher uses a pointer or ruler to track the text. Meanwhile, in the modified cell reading technique, the students work in group and the teacher guides the students implicitly. Also, in the modified cell reading technique, it uses a video as the media of this technique. There are 3 research questions in this research. First, is there any improvement of students' motivations after they are taught by using modified cell reading technique? Second, is there any improvement of students' reading comprehensions after they are taught by using modified cell reading technique? And the last, is there any correlations between motivations and reading comprehensions? There are some previous researches that have been proven if cell reading technique is an effective technique. First, Leo et al. 2009. He states that cell book reading can effectively increase fourth graders' read comprehensions. The teacher and the students take a positive attitude towards cell book reading. Second, Alessandra 2011. She states that cell reading is an effective way to teach concept of brain and a natural reading environment. And the last, Fonsel and Souls 2012. They argue that as young readers have many experiences with books at home and at school, they will change and develop through each opportunity. According to Snow, reading comprehensions is a process of extracting and constructing meaning through involvement with written language. There are 5 aspects of reading comprehensions. First, main idea. Main idea of reading selections is what the passage is mostly about. Second, supporting details. Supporting details are the facts and ideas that explain or prove the topic sentence or main idea. Third, inference. According to Morello in 2007, inference requires that each reader construct a meaning that makes the text a reflection of her experience. And the fourth, according to Young 2011, in the reference, readers take less time to identify the reference of a pronoun when the reference has been mentioned recently in the text than when it is mentioned earlier. And the last, vocabulary. According to Makado 2012, child vocabulary is strongly related to his comprehensions and is learning to read. Here, the researcher would like to modify cell reading technique, especially in the steps. The original cell reading technique, the procedures were first introduced to the text, second read the text aloud and rewrite the story, fourth repeat the process and rewrite the story, and at the end, the students have to read the text independently. Meanwhile, in the modified cell reading technique, the process or the procedures were first introduced to the story by watching a video. Then, the students work in a group. The students have to read the text together. Third, the students have to underline the difficult words and they have to identify the meaning of the words. And the fourth, Each group have to find and identify main ideas, supporting detail, reference, inference, meaning of the text. And the last, the group are given 15 minutes to share their ideas with other groups. In this research, there are three hypotheses. First, there is an improvement of students' motivations after the students are taught by using modified style reading technique. Second, there is an improvement of students' reading comprehension achievement after the students are taught by using modified style reading technique. And the last, there is a positive correlations between motivations and reading comprehensions. The designs of this research consists of two designs. The first design was to answer the first and second research questions. The designs was T1 x T2. T1 refers to pre-test, T2 refers to post-test, and X refers to the treatment. Then, the second research design was to answer the third research questions. The design was T1, T2. T1 refers to reading comprehension test, T2 refers to questionnaires of motivations. The instruments of this research consist of reading tests and the questionnaires. The results of students' motivations, there are four indicators or categories here. First, intrinsic value of reading. In the pre-test, the students' motivations was 72% and it improved into 80% in the post-test. Second, extrinsic value of reading. In the pre-test, the students got 71% and in the post-test, it improved into 81%. Third, importance of reading. The students' motivations was 72% in the pre-test and it became 82% in the post-test. And the last, reading efficacy. In the pre-test, the student motivations was 52% and it improved become 80%. Thus, the highest improvement of students' motivations was reading efficacy. And the results of students' reading comprehension achievement, the score of pre-test of students' reading comprehensions was 59.76 and it improved into 78.36 in the post-test. Thus, the gain of the improvement was 18.60. Then, the results of correlations between students' motivations and reading comprehensions achievement. The percent correlations show that the correlations was 0.682. Thus, there is a positive correlations between students' motivations and reading comprehensions, and it was categorized as high correlations. Then the discussions. The first research questions. In brief, there is an improvement of students' motivations after the students are taught by using modified style reading technique. It was supported by Liu et al. 2009. He found that the post-test of 4th and 5th graders' reading motivations tests are higher than the pre-test, but they do not show distinguished difference. And then for the second research questions, comparing the mean score between the pre-test and the post-test, it was obtained that the gain was 18.60. It is supported by the previous research finding conducted by Alessandra 2011. And the third research questions, there is a positive correlations between variable X and Y. It is also supported by Hanifah, Mulyana, and Nuraini 2018, and also Ningrum and Matandang 2017. Conclusions. Firstly, the improvement of students' motivations is not so high. However, there is a trend that the implementations could improve students' motivations due to several factors. First, the students could share and discuss the material together. Second, the students get enthusiastic because modified style reading technique use a movie as the media of learning process. Secondly, modified style reading technique gives a great benefit for the students. This technique encourages the students to be involved actively in the process of reading, so that the students are able to comprehend the text easily. Moreover, the lower students who have low capabilities can follow the material well. The upper students and the lower students can cooperate and share their idea together. Suggestions. For the teacher, it is suggested to explain the procedures of learning clearly and monitor the students' discussions, whether all of the students involved actively or not. And then for the further researchers, it is suggested to use an additional instruments to analyze the students' motivation, such as interview or observations. Then it is also suggested to analyze the other material of reading, such as descriptive text, recount text, etc. And the last, it is suggested to develop other method, technique, or strategy in order to improve students' reading comprehension. Alright, that's all for me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.